Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Bradenton Kiwanis Club. It's great to see everyone. Thanks for being here. Special welcome to all our guests. We'll introduce you at the start of the program portion of our program of the day today. Dick Gross, will you please give us the invocation?
Most gracious Heavenly Father, may we take this time to thank you for the many blessings you have given us. Guide us in the path we are about to proceed in, and help us to get through this pandemic as best we can. Bless this food to the nourishment of our bodies and our bodies to your service. In your most holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. We'll have a few announcements to start with. Mike Bear, Community Service.
Thank you, Neil. Good to see everybody here today. We do have, now that it's November, happy November, we've got some events that are going to be coming up on the end of the month. Actually, Saturday, November 12th is Habitat for Humanity. That's day 2. And so we still need some volunteers for that. I think right now it's just Judge Smith and myself. So we need some help because I can't hammer that fast. Saturday, November 25th and also December 3rd is going to be tree sales for Boys and Girls Club. So we've done that for quite a few years now, and that's going to be coming up at the end of the month. There's also some bell ringing at the very beginning of December. If you would all please go to Portal Buzz, check out some of the dates for that because we can use some volunteers. But the next one's going to be a week from Saturday at Habitat. Thank you, Neil.
Thanks. Dave Grantham is next on next week's Veterans Day program.
Thanks, Neil. In Ed's absence, I'm speaking today. Next week, 11:15, the doors open for our annual Veterans Program. The food will be set up in the hall. I believe we're going to try to start serving right around 11:15. We've distributed 300 tickets, so the room's going to be full. Obviously, it'll be open. And those of you that have attended, you know the routine. The veterans, each of the veterans will receive a commemorative challenge coin that we've begun giving out over the last few years, and we hope to have another very successful event. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave. Ed Nicholas.
Good afternoon. As you know, our club is initiating a new project this year, the Key Leader program. It's a weekend to bring a diverse group of high school students together, teach them some leadership skills, teach them some character-based training, some team building, and it really is an amazing opportunity. It got canceled because of the storm. It's going to be reset in the spring, but we need help. We need volunteers who are willing to be there part of the weekend or most of the weekend. And if you are willing to volunteer, we very much appreciate it. We need 10. You have to be fingerprinted because it's an off-site event. So if you're considering it, let me or Janine know. We can work through the choreographing of the fingerprinting, but I don't want to wait until the week of to say, oh, we have all these volunteers, but they're actually not able to help us because they need to be fingerprinted. Yes, ma'am.
What's the new date?
We're not positive. We think it's hopefully going to be the first week of March, March 3rd through 5th. So it's been a little challenge to choreograph. They had a lot of damage out at Camp Flying Eagle and at Dream Oaks. So as soon as we get a better handle on exactly when they're going to open up, we'll know. But we're looking at March 5th. So we have some time, but I don't want to wait until the last minute to try to get this fingerprinting done. Thanks.
You have a guest.
I have a guest. Yes, sir.
How about, when fingerprinting, does it have to be brand new, or can it be, we have a couple, 3 years?
I think it's every 2 years. I'm not positive.
It's gotta be through Bradenton, Kiwanis, not just any like school system.
Right.
Through Boys and Girls Club.
Right.
It needs to be through Kiwanis.
You know, and the fact is, it's not a bad thing to get done, even if you're considering working with student leadership programs in our club.
And what I've discovered too is if you need to do that, you need to go through the online youth protection before you get your fingerprints and stuff done. And you need to contact me so that I can send you an invitation to take all this.
So if you're thinking about it, let us know so we can get that process going. More importantly, as you know, our club looks for needs, our club fills needs, our club is responsive to the needs that's in this community, and our club has recently responded to a really neat but compelling need. I'm going to have Nuris Fanning come up. She's with Samoset Elementary. We have a K-Kids club there, and Stephanie O'Kelly is my advisor, and she's amazing, a great role model. But what our club found out was that Samoset Elementary wants to send a group of 5th graders to Washington, D.C. this spring, most of which for the first time on an airplane, most of which outside the state for the first time. And it's an expensive proposition, as you can imagine. So thanks to Gilbert and our club, we've donated $1,800 towards this effort, and they've come here to tell us a little bit about the plans and to thank us. So I'm going to turn it over to Nuris.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge Nicholas. I want to thank all the Kiwanis members here today. I really appreciate the donation. I know that Samoset's very fortunate to have you join us and help us with this expensive trip. I have 20 students signed up to, 20 students signed up to go on our trip to Washington, D.C., along with 5 parents and 3 staff members. It is with an organization called World Strides, and they're organizing the trip for us. This is not our first trip at Samoset. We did this previously in 2016, the first elementary school in Manatee County, to take kids outside of the state. Not too long ago, 2019, I was here with Kiwanis Club, also helped us generously, and I took 20 students as well to Washington, D.C., and then COVID hit, and we had a little lapse of time, and now we're here again. 2023, we'll be taking 20 students, so we're very fortunate, thanks to the Kiwanis Club members, all of you, and I have 2 students here. I know that I've made it my goal because I really believe in our country, the United States of America. I want them not only to read it in their history books, but to actually experience firsthand. And I'm very passionate about Washington, so I love history. So I have 2 students that would like to tell you why they want to go on this trip. Jaleshka Gonzalez and Rachel Sanchez. What I forgot to mention is a 3-day trip, 2 nights, 3 days in a hotel they never experienced before. Are you excited? Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name.
Speak loud and close.
Yeah, you got it.
Real close.
Good afternoon. My name is Yaleshka Mendez Gonzalez. I'm a 5th grade student at Samoset Elementary School. I came out here today to tell you why I'm really excited to go to Washington, D.C. I would love to see and learn about Lincoln Memorial, the White House, and Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. I would also love to spend time with my friends, stay at a hotel, and eat delicious food. This trip will help me experience a new state. It will also make me feel special because my high schooler brother didn't get to go to Washington, D.C. in 5th grade, but I'm going because of my good grades. I'm a patrol, and I'm also a part of the K-Kids Club. Thank you so much for having us here today. We had a great time. Have you been to Washington, D.C.?
Hello. Hello, my name is Rachel Sanchez. I'm a 5th grade student at Samoset Elementary School. I'm here today to tell you why I want to go to Washington, D.C. I have always wanted to go to Washington, D.C. because of the Smithsonian Institution. At the Smithsonian, we're going to see Abraham Lincoln's top hat. I also want to learn about Washington, D.C.'s history. I also want to be with my friends in a hotel room eating delicious food. Washington, D.C. would also be a new experience for me because I've only been on a plane once. That is when I was little, so I don't remember any of it. I had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. because I'm a straight-A student, a part of a safety patrol for my school, and a part of the K-Kids Club. Thank you. Would you want to join us at Washington, D.C.?
So let's hear it for these amazing kids. Give yourselves a round of applause for your generous donation. And lastly, if there are any businesses here who want to contribute, I'm sure Nuris would be happy to speak to you. Our club has been very generous. I don't want to oversell this, but if there's any businesses here that would like to contribute, I'm sure she'd appreciate that.
He doesn't want to oversell it. Interesting. All right, please enjoy each other's company. We'll be back around 12:30 in about 5 minutes or so, and we'll start the program portion. We do have a special guest in the audience. We have a current lieutenant governor, but we also have an incoming lieutenant governor-elect who was elected on Saturday at our division council meeting. Ken Christie, will you please rise? For those that don't know, Ken is a part of our satellite club, and this will be 2 in a row for Bradenton Kiwanis as lieutenant governor. So, all right, so now we have history, and I must preface this by an email that I got from Gilbert. It said, "Be funny." I don't know what that means. So we will just struggle through his funny presentation script, and we'll see if it's any good. All right. Remember 2007. Remember the headlines. The Bradenton mortgage bankruptcy case is coming to an end, and investors had received as much as 70% back. Wow, what a story. I should emphasize that, right? Wow, what a story. Also, Manatee County had more mortgage foreclosure cases than anywhere else in the U.S. Something to be proud of. That's part of the funny stuff. And a few local banks were beginning to fail. Oh, we had more, yeah. All right, and look who decides to run for office. Is that on there? Yes. Club member and Palmetto Mayor Larry Bussell announces he's running for Manatee County Commission. Oh, yeah, and Gilbert's trying to run. Let's see, do they win? We'll know soon. On October 2, 2007, at the regular luncheon meeting, Phil Perry was sworn in as the 2007-2008 president of the Bradenton Kiwanis Club. He was a prominent attorney who had years of experience in mediating challenges between people. Phil would need this talent for his term, because we're all so great to get along with. Phil was born on June 6, 1951 in Boonville, Missouri, but his family relocated to Kansas City before moving in 1962 to Jacksonville, Florida. He grew up near Jacksonville Beach, where he played baseball and enjoyed surfing at the beach. Over the summers in his teen years, Phil worked on a family dairy in milking cows and bucking hay bales. While in high school, Phil worked at Craig Municipal Airport, obtained his student pilot's license, and flew solo. After Phil graduated from Bishop Kenny Catholic High School in '69, he also graduated from the University of Florida in '73 with a bachelor's degree in psychology and then with his law degree in 1975. Phil began his legal career in West Palm Beach before moving in '76 to Manatee County, where he eventually joins the firm of Dye, Cleary, Scott, and Dietrich and practices for the next 20 years. In 1996, Phil and his friend, Mike Hamrick, started a new law firm and then joined other friends John Quinlan and Gilbert Smith Jr. to form Hamrick, Perry, Quinlan, and Smith. They even bought a building together. There was a subsequent change, and the firm became Green, Hamrick, Perry, Quinlan, and Shermer. Where did Smith go? Where'd he go? Phil was always involved in the community. However, when he joined the club in '94, he really got involved. But as presidents, the same issues were being debated. Stay and renovate Kiwanis Hall, sell it, build a new Kiwanis Human Services Center, and recruit new members and slow the decline in members resigning. A deeply religious man, he relied upon his faith and determination in dealing with these issues. Both issues continued to be debated throughout his term and beyond. In 2017, Phil retired and moved to the mountains in western North Carolina. Thank you, Phil, for all you have done for the club and the community. On November 6th, the club hosted the American Patriotism Celebration at the Bradenton Municipal Auditorium with Sergeant Major Stephen Valley as the keynote speaker. Then on November 13, at the Farm City Week Luncheon, Betty Glassburn was recognized with the 2007 Agriculturist of the Year Award. The club has a good year making gifts and contributions in the community. It donates $100,000 to the Manatee Performing Arts Center and $100,000 to Meals on Wheels Plus. Then the board of directors raised the quarterly dues for club members. Why not? All right. It was just up to $201 per quarter. So, locally in 2008, the long-awaited Manatee County Judicial Center opened, giving the judiciary a courthouse they could use into the future with 19 courtrooms and 5 hearing rooms. Have you been called for jury duty? Most of us have. On Thursday, January 31, 2008, the club and the Bradenton Kiwanis Foundation celebrated a night at the museum at the South Florida Museum and Bishop Planetarium. More than 125 people who attended the event witnessed the presentation of 10 George Hickson Foundation Awards. Richard Alberg, Dan Blaylock Jr., Greg Bussell, Cope Carter, Dewey Dye, Bud Fortson, John Hamner, Dan McClure, Robert Vita, and David Wilcox. It was a special night for the sons of 3 honorees, Bill Blaylock, Steve Dye, and John Vita. On March 8th, the club again leads Better Manatee by recruiting 1,000 volunteers to work on 32 projects. The location of the projects include Camp Flying Eagle, Foundation of Dreams, Dream Oaks Camp, Bradenton Women's Club, Camp Honehata, and the Palmasola Botanical Gardens. Way to go, Dave. It's been a great project all along. On May 1st, the club hosted the annual prayer breakfast at the Bradenton Municipal Auditorium with Sheriff Brad Stubbe as the keynote speaker. In June, the club pledges $7,000 as seed money for a Bruce Meade exhibit to showcase the local legend on his softball career. I'm not going to say that. No, I can't say that. I'll just move along. On June 24, 2008, I'd say it if he was here. At the regular luncheon meeting, circuit judge candidates Gilbert Smith and Connie Medeiros Jacobs introduced themselves to the members of the club and answered questions from the moderator, Bradenton Herald page editor, Chris Willey. Who remembers that? Who was here? Anybody? Yeah, we have a few. Were you here, Gilbert? Okay. All right, this is the front page of the Bradenton Herald on August 27, 2008. Member Palmetto Mayor Larry Bussell was elected as the Manatee County Commissioner, defeating Amy Stein. But wait, all the way back to page 3, who else won? Gilbert, that's right. Why isn't he on page 1? We'll have to ask the Bradenton Herald. On September 5th, the Bradenton Herald recognizes the club for the many years of supporting children with scholarships. It also thanks the club for providing the funding for the career counseling program at Manatee High School. We'll see you in a few weeks, 3 weeks, when we talk about the history of the club in 2008 and 2009. Who was the president? Another barrister? We'll see you in 3 weeks. All right, Gilbert, with our program.
You know, this club for years has helped families in crisis. And in the last few years, we really stepped it up, and we've been helping the foster kids, the kids that have been sheltered, kids that are living with other families. And we're going to hear an interesting program today. So let me introduce Missy Paramener, who is here today to talk to us about Harbor58, which is an emerging nonprofit in our community focused on equipping young adults aging out of foster care to transition into adulthood. Now, I'm going to let Missy tell you more about herself and what she's done to prepare herself for this and her passion. But she served as a guardian ad litem. She has served with the Safe Children's Coalition working, and so she is also a proud member of the Family Safety Alliance. Now, I will tell you that she is so passionate about this that she is working to change the law, and she's going to tell you more about that when she comes up. Come on, Missy.
Thank you guys so much for having me here today. First of all, it's, following such amazing stories and amazing people. It's a big job after you have that delicious lunch too. So I will try to keep it quick and keep you entertained. But I do want to share a little bit about Harbor58 and a little bit about me and our story and how it came to be. As Jed Smith had shared, Harbor58 is a newer nonprofit. It's emerging. It started in the midst of COVID. It's amazing. COVID was very hard in 2020 for a lot of us, but it also was very eye-opening. We got to see a lot of areas that needed our attention, but maybe were beneath the surface prior to that. And so through that, I was serving as a guardian ad litem when I learned that we had youth in our community who were turning 18 and basically ending up homeless. And that was shocking to me. My personality, when I hear stories like that, the first thing I think is, surely there's people that just don't understand the resources that are available. Surely people just don't know what all's out there. We got to get them connected to the right place and the right thing. This is probably an easy fix. And then the more I dug into it and the more I looked into it, I was completely shocked how little we have in our community to support these youth who are basically our children. They're wards of the state at that point, so they're our kids, and how little we were preparing them to enter the world workforce. And so we decided that we need, like me, you guys will have this responsibility too. Once you have the knowledge, once you know, once you learn, you no longer get to say after you leave this room today, well, I didn't know. I didn't know that was a problem. I didn't know that existed. So now we all collectively get to have the responsibility of being part of the solution for this growing epidemic inside our community. So let me share a little bit with you this morning. First, our story. So we started in 2020. We are officially a 501c3 nonprofit, so we've gone through that process already. We have a solicitation permit, and we are also, we have a business plan. So this is something we took very seriously. We took about a year to stop and research what is working around the country. What are people doing that works well? What are people doing that is right? And so we spent a lot of time gathering research. We wanted to know exactly what the need was in our community, what the problems were, what some of the barriers we were going to be facing, so that we could address those head on and start on the success of those who have gone before us. So you know that the presentation you're hearing today has gone through a lot of questions, a lot of interviewing different organizations in our area as well as around the nation. So the problem, there are three main areas that I want to talk about on the problem with youth aging out of foster care. First is education. 54%, that's 54% will get their high school diploma. Only 54%, just over half. That significantly limits their earning potential from 18 on. And the reason they're not getting those high school diplomas is because a lot of the children in the dependency system, on average, are 2 grades behind. 2 grades behind. So they're turning 18, and they're nowhere near graduating. And if you have to choose between working, surviving, taking care of yourself, or going to school, what 18-year-old gets up and says, I can't wait to go back to 10th grade? So many of them are, and there's no one really forcing them to do that anymore. So 54% are getting their high school diploma. This number breaks my heart. Only 3% of them, only 3% will earn a college degree, which is so unnerving knowing that we have so many resources available for youth to get their degree. 70% of youth, when asked, said that they would like to have higher education, that they would like to graduate. They'd like to be the first person in their family to get a bachelor's degree. And we have things like tuition assistance, we have things, different things that are available for those families, but a lot of them don't know how to utilize them. How many of you at 18 were able to fill out your own FAFSA application? Very few, very few. That is a hard thing to do, especially if you don't have your own vital documents. You don't know your social security number. You don't know anything about taxes. So it's heartbreaking that this is happening right here in our community. Another thing that we're seeing is employment. 50% of youth that age out of foster care are unemployed by the age of 24. By the age of 24, they're unemployed. And a lot of them because they don't even have a high school degree. So they're working so hard, it's hard to make those ends meet together. So half of them are unemployed, which then our tax dollars are then going to support them at that point. 1 in 4 will be incarcerated within 2 years. 1 in 4. Which, if that's a felony, limits their earning potential and limits where they can live for the rest of their life. So one poor decision made can change the entire trajectory of these kids' lives. 71% of the women that age out of foster care will be pregnant before they're 21. And I will tell you, and I know the judges in the room will agree, it is not uncommon for us to see kids before they're even out of the dependency system, back in the dependency system as the parent, while they're still in the dependency system as the child. And that's a huge, we're just perpetuating the cycle at that point. 1 in 5 will be homeless within 1 year. Within 1 year of exiting the foster care system, 1 in 5 will be homeless. And I know this is a heavy topic for the middle of the day, but I'm so passionate about seeing change. And I truly believe that Manatee County can create a system that can be used not only throughout our state, but throughout the nation. That we can step up and fill a gap and fill a need and create success in a way that other people look and want to model what we're doing. 50% of the youth that age out of foster care will develop a substance dependence. In our county alone, we all know that's a huge problem here that we're facing. If you have a desire to see people break addiction, if you have a desire to see people change their life to get a degree for the first time, if you want to see people get off unemployment and get jobs, I can tell you if we start with younger, we start while they're in the foster care system, we start when they age out, we can significantly change a lot of the social services that we're seeing in this area. 54% of the people that are homeless in our area were once in foster care. 71% of sex trafficking victims in the state of Florida are former foster youth. So it seems bleak and hopeless, but let me tell you, we can all sigh, let that out. We have a plan. The good news is that we have a plan and we can move forward with this. So our plan is, first we want to restore. So Harbor58, the reason we're a harbor is not meant to be a destination. It's meant to be a place where you refuel, rebuild, and then get back out to sea. So we want to create a place for these youth to come and stop and repair. We want to offer on-site mental health counseling for the youth so they're able to work through their past hurt and trauma, deal with some of that pain head on so that they can change the way that they're headed in their life. We want to equip them. We'll have individualized transition plans. Each youth will come on campus. They can stay for up to 18 months, and we'll create a transition plan for them that helps equip them to move on to the next phase into adulthood. So we'll look at them as individuals, teaching them life skills, and be with them every step of the way. Another thing that's very important is mentorship. So we really believe that one-to-one mentoring can be life-changing. Researchers tell us that one of the main reasons that kids do better is when they have at least one significant permanent adult in their life. So if we're able to provide them with a mentor to stand there and be there to answer questions, we know that just that alone, if we did nothing else but provide a friend that was there that they could reach out to, that in and of itself would be a game changer for these kids. But on top of that, we want to offer all of these life skills, all these opportunities and connections to introduce them to different people in the community, to get a job, to learn about their potential, to see and reach who they were created to be, to help them to see that full potential inside of themselves. So the other thing is to empower them. One of the fun things about being an adult is learning how to fail. And it's important for us to not expect perfection from these youth. So while they're living on the campus, we want to give them enough independence to make mistakes, but then have a team around them, like that mentor that's able to help them process and walk through those problems and those pitfalls, and help them learn how to get up after you have a failure or a mistake. And then last, we want to launch them. Success will be seeing these youth transition into adulthood, empowered and equipped to reach their full potential. And like family, Harbor58 will always be there for them. One of the things that's one of my favorite things about Harbor58 is that we'll provide once a week family dinners for them. So once a week, we'll all gather around the table on site. They'll be able to sit down and have a meal. I grew up in a family that was pretty dysfunctional. I didn't know what to do when I had a family and everyone sat down at the table. It's weird if you've never had those conversations. If no one's ever taught you how to talk to other people, it gets really creepy. And so we want them to have that opportunity to learn how to have family time, how to be around the table together. And one of the neat things about Harbor58 is even after they leave the program, there'll always be a seat for them at the table. They'll always have the opportunity to come back for family dinner. They'll always have a place that they can come home to. So that's super important to us as well. The current programs that we're offering are life skills. We've been partnering with local and community leaders to teach life skills to young adults. We offered a program this summer that was very successful. We were able to reach out to different youth that were in the dependency system and also at-risk youth. I teach them life skills, teach them how to budget, how to make SMART goals. It was really neat to see how much they enjoyed and flourished. Just a little bit of information, and they just sucked it all up and really just loved learning. And they loved being around our mentors and our team. For all that I've known with the foster care system, I expected a lot more trust barriers when we walked in the room. But when they saw that we cared and we were consistent with that caring, it was amazing how much they opened up and wanted us to be a part of their life. We've been offering mentoring, and then also this fall, or it'll probably be this spring, just because we've had some challenges come up, we're going to be offering one-to-one mentoring with individualized support for youth. Right now, we're looking at potentially having a focus for financial literacy. So we just wrote a grant recently to be able to have financial classes for the youth to teach them how to budget, how to manage that budget, how to grocery shop, all those practical skills that you're supposed to learn at home, but if you haven't had a consistent home and a consistent person there for you, that doesn't happen. And then fun. Healthy outlets for fun are so important. They're so important, and a lot of these kids don't even know what they like to do for fun. They've never had a healthy hobby. They've never learned how to get stress out of their life in a good way. So just opening up to different things. Maybe they didn't know that they liked to fish, but their mentor took them fishing for the first time. Maybe they didn't know how much they loved sports, and they got to play a sport for the first time. So it's really neat for us to be able to kind of help teach skills and coping mechanisms that can help these kids for the rest of their life. This is Rachel, and this is what Judge Smith was talking about a little bit earlier. Working as a guardian ad litem, I was able to identify that we have in our legislation a gap. We do a lot to support youth that are in a licensed foster home. However, the way that right now the legislation is written, we do not support youth that age out of foster care from a relative or non-relative, which is kind of crazy to me because if you're in a licensed foster home, that person signed up for the job, they took training for the job, they have a room in their house for you, and they're probably gonna stick around for a while. But when you ask a grandma or an aunt or an uncle that maybe wasn't planning on taking a kid in, definitely didn't have a college fund laying around, is probably on a fixed income, and then we expect them to be able to take care of that kid long-term even after they turn 18. I don't personally believe that's how the law was intended to be written. So we're working with a team to help change the legislation for that. So people like Rachel, whose mom was able to reunify with her. She was able to go home to her mom, but her mom is still not at the level to be able to support Rachel as she turns 18. So we have mentors surrounding her, but we want Rachel to have all the same abilities as anyone else who's been in the dependency system. So that's what we're advocating for at Harbor58. And so here's a little bit about Rachel's story. Oh, the other thing, she does talk, we taught them self-defense class. We did a self-defense class, and Rachel has a history of abuse. And so she says something in here that might shock you. But keep in mind when you listen to Rachel's story that this is someone who was a victim, who never felt like she had the ability to defend herself, and the revelation that she has through the defense class that she took.
I learned how to budget, how important it is to not spend freely, and how important bills are for like whenever you grow up and get your own place, and how important it is that your family helps you while you're young. I've also learned that self-defense is very important, and if you're being kidnapped, for example, it's important to know self-defense so that way you can protect yourself, and it doesn't really matter what happens to that person because they shouldn't have tried to kidnap you in the first place. The instructor told me that whatever happens, happens, and if you accidentally kill the person, they shouldn't have done it. I also learned that it's important to have connections and people you can trust. I've learned that everybody at Harbor58 kind of has your back, even all of the teenagers. They're all super sweet, and it's been a very fun experience, and I've made a lot of friends. I've had old connections, and it's been amazing. The staff are just super sweet. You can talk to them about everything. Well, yeah, literally everything. Everybody will laugh with you. You have a shoulder to cry on if need be. It's been an amazing experience, and I'm very thankful for it.
So for me, I cried when I listened to this video for the first time. So this girl who has a history of abuse was able to say, if someone came at me and they got hurt in the process, it's okay because I stood up for myself, and I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to fight for myself. The fact that if we just touch one life and we teach one kid that they're worth it, they're worth having a future, they're worth having dreams, they're worth going to college, they're worth doing more than what they've seen happen in their own homes up to this point. They have the ability to do more, to be more. Just one child, I think, makes all of it worth it. So just quickly, let me show you some of our plans. One of the things that's the biggest issue, I think, for everybody here is housing. So one of the things we'd like to do immediately, which we already have land donated to do, it's just raising funds to build, is we want to build a campus for youth to come live for up to 18 months. So it's located in Lakewood Ranch. So it's in the back part of this property here. This is the proposed layout of the buildings. So there'll be a community center, and well as housing for someone to live on site. There'll be a family that lives on site that's able to answer questions, handle case management, also model what it's like to be a family. So they'll be able to one-on-one invite those kids in. For me, watching in college, I had someone that did this for me, and I learned how to they would let me see how they put their kids to bed, because I had never seen that in a healthy way. So for them to have an opportunity to learn what a healthy bedtime routine is, for them to realize that you can have disagreements in a healthy way and be able to see marriage modeled healthy, I think will be absolutely life-changing for a lot of these teens and young adults. The lodge, which is the common space, consider it like a clubhouse of an apartment complex. This space will include an industrial kitchen, so we can teach cooking lessons for the young adults, but also it will allow us to cook those family dinners and big meals, since we're going to be able to have all of them come back over the years. We want to be able to do that in a large kitchen. There'll also be a free use laundry facility. We're intentionally not putting laundry in their room, because if you've raised teenagers, you know you need to give them an excuse to come out. They will live in there if you let them. So drawing them out with free laundry as well as different amenities in this space will allow us to have one-on-one connection with them. Also in this space, there is meeting spaces, private spaces, so they're able to meet with their counselor. We want them to do that in a safe space. So we'll provide that space in that room as well as meeting space for classes. So we also want to invite youth that are still within the dependency system that are younger to come in, and we'll actually utilize our residents. We've taught them those life skills. We want them to turn around and teach them to the younger generation as well by doing peer-to-peer mentoring. So we'll bring those youth on campus, and they'll be able to mentor those young adults as well. There'll be a staff residence. This will provide housing, private housing for a family that lives on site. There'll also be an in-law suite, so if for some reason that family needs to be off campus, we don't have to move someone into their house. There's an in-law suite that's there that we can bring someone in temporarily while that family is on vacation or needs to be gone for a little while. They'll also provide individualized case plan management. So the transitional plan, they'll make sure that the youth are on target with that, handle a lot of those issues, a lot of discipline issues as well, anything that's on campus. They'll also give them a glimpse into family life. This is a look at what and this is something that people push back on, so I'm just going to tell you why we're doing it. So you probably think, Missy, if this is such a need in the community, you spent this whole time telling me how much we need this and why it's a big problem, and you're telling me you're going to put one person in one of these. Why not bunk them up, 2, 3, 4 kids? Let me tell you why we're passionate about individualized housing. A lot of these kids have never had their own space in their entire life. And if anyone knows, I grew up with a lot of siblings. There's something that happens when you're by yourself. You have to work through some things. You need to learn some stuff. There's also a lot of dependency issues in the dependency system. So we want to teach those kids to break out of that, to learn how to be alone. It is so healthy to be able to be alone a little bit and to have that space and that time. So there'll be individualized paired villas. It's in Lakewood Ranch, so we have to call them paired villas. So I tried to say tiny house once, and I almost got yeah, you know what I'm saying. You understand. So it'll be private, 1 resident per villa. Each of the residents we have the opportunity for them to meet with an interior designer, which we've already secured. When they move into that space, we want them to personalize it and make it their own. The other thing that's very neat about this program is we want them to take everything that they can take out of that space with them when they leave. We want them to take their bed, we want them to take their dresser, every dish, every appliance that's in there, anything we can unplug to help set them up as their welcome home kit when they move into their first place. The reason that we do that is you're going to take care of something a little bit differently if it's not on loan and it's actually yours. And also it allows us to set them up for success in their first place. So we've already partnered with a lot of different organizations. We'll continue to do that to be able to provide that for them. But we think it's such a neat opportunity that you're actually going to take your things with you when you leave. And we want them to make it their own space. We want them to feel at home. If they want to paint the walls, paint the walls. If they want to hang curtains, we'll help you hang curtains. We want it to feel like it's yours. They could also have the opportunity to earn small appliances while doing life skills. So we want to incentivize a lot of the activities. So that's one of the things that is really important to us, is that they give opportunities to learn, and also we'll have optional programs as well to help them go deeper in life skills. So maybe all of them aren't ready to learn about investing, but some kids are. If they're able to do that, then maybe we match some of their savings if they're willing to invest part of it. So how can you get involved? There's obviously financial support is something that's huge for us, but also can you be an advocate for me? Can you join in with me and help our community to know about the need that's in this community for helping youth that are aging out of foster care? I promise, now that you've heard me talk about it, if you hadn't heard about it before, it's going to be everywhere. It's kind of like when you buy a new car. You see that car everywhere you go. Now you're going to hear about youth aging out of foster care everywhere, and it's so important. So you might not be able to financially support this, but you might know someone that would want to do that. So when you have an opportunity, share about this organization at your lunch, when you're out with friends. Feel free to pass my information along. I will do this presentation for any and everybody. I'll do it for one person, 100 people, whatever you need. I'm passionate about seeing this come to fruition as soon as possible. You can also provide internships. If you're a business and you want to see youth intern with you, you can do that as well. You can also become a mentor. So our specific target demographic is high school and college. If you're interested in being a one-to-one mentor, please reach out to me and I'll let you know more about that process. So, yeah, no, I'm done. That's it. The end.
Just real quick, when you're talking about the youth that go to
That's any degree, technical or college. So 3% getting any degree. Yep.
Two questions. One's very quick, and that is, and see where the name Harbor came from. Where the 58 comes from.
Great question.
The second question is, have you put a dollar sign on each of those facilities on your proposed plan?
I do. So I can sit down with you and I can show you what those numbers are. Obviously, they're adjusting because every day construction in Florida changes. So, but if you want to know those numbers, I can give those to you. So, and then 58 comes from Isaiah 58. So we are a nonprofit that we're not going to be requiring religious affiliation to attend or be a part of. But the president and our team, we have a lot of people on the team that have a spiritual background. And so Isaiah 58. Yep.
Last one.
How many people can you house in that facility?
So our plan is to have 12 individualized cottages, paired villas.
12 people?
Yeah.
12 paired villas or 12 people?
12 people, so 6, yeah. 6 paired villas, 12 individual, yep. Yeah.
All right, let's give her a big round of applause. Right here. It's part of our commitment to everybody in the foster care system. Bradenton Kiwanis tradition gives you a golden ruler. Kiwanis, a better life, way of life, a better Bradenton. So this is for you, and we'll take a picture.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
Thank
you
you very much.
Yeah.
All right, thank you to all our guests for coming today. Remember to be here early. We got a big program, Veterans Day. So let's come out and support our veterans. Don't forget this week or next Tuesday to vote. Get out and vote for your choice of candidates. We are adjourned.
Thank you.